Hey guys, I'm Rena Lovelace, and you're watching my episode of Lip Roll with Valerie Morehouse.
Welcome to Lip Roll.
Thank
We've got
you.
Miss Rena Lovelace on from
Hey Violet.
Hey Violet.
I'm so excited to be here.
I
Thank
know.
you for having me.
I'm so glad to finally get you in here. It's
Yeah.
been so fun. We've had
Yeah.
such a colorful crew of people on the show. And, you're so interesting because it's fun always talking to people who started their career a little younger.
Right, yeah.
So it's nice sort of representing that generation.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in music since I was 10 and 10 months.
That young?
Yeah.
How did that start for you? Because I don't think I've asked you that before.
Well, my parents were in music, and I think, my sister and I were always surrounded by it. So
Yeah.
it was only natural that we would eventually get swept into the world of music. But I started off playing bass guitar. And
I didn't know you played bass.
Yeah, and then but Hey Violet was formed about 4 or 5 years ago, and I started off singing and playing bass at the same time at the beginning of Hey Violet.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then I put down the bass, and I was like, I really want to just
sing
I
and
want to
perform.
run around on stage,
Yeah.
and when I have an extra limb, it's a little hard to do that.
Yeah. Because I met you post bass,
Right,
So yeah, when you
exactly.
put the bass down and coming in as a singer, and for the listeners that know or don't know, Rena, you're an incredible vocal gymnast, and
stop it, you.
Yes, I'll just keep gushing. But now you're even more of a vocal gymnast. But yeah, it's fun knowing a little bit about my clients and their past, and sometimes the stuff that I don't know. So I did not know that you started though at 10.
I know. Yeah, it's been kind of a whirlwind. Yeah.
Did you always know that you would be a musician at that moment, or was it a slower burn for you?
Right. When I was really young, I kind of jumped around from what I wanted to do. Like when you're really young, sometimes you want to be a teacher because that's like all you know is school, And then I wanted to be a dancer.
Fireman. I
and-
want to be a police officer.
You're like,
Exactly.
well, the
All the
world is big. I say that to my boys. The world is bigger than that. But yeah, those are good lofty goals.
Yeah, and then I got the opportunity to be in a band, and I at the time, like when I was playing bass, it engulfed me. I was 10 years old, so
Right.
but that I fell in love with it, and I
Your
fell in
mom
love
was
with
in music, right?
She was a singer.
He was a singer, and
Yeah.
your older sister's also
She's the drummer of Hey Violet.
Yeah, in your band. I was going to say, for those of you that don't know, she's a great drummer.
She is.
So you started so young. What did you have any music goals before you started Hey Violet, or was that like the first band that you formed?
I mean, there was a band before Hey Violet that I was in, but we were so young. There were obviously goals. We wanted to, there were specific goals, like we want to headline Madison Square Garden, but those are
Just
still
a small,
goals for
tiny little goal.
Right, exactly. We've opened at Madison Square Garden, but to headline is like a whole new ball game.
Yeah,
So, those are still goals in Hey Violet. Is we want to, we've put out a first album, but we're working on a new one right now. We have we just want to release as many songs as possible.
And you guys do have some new material coming in that we can talk
do.
about a little bit later, right?
Yeah,
some
absolutely.
exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And I just love the eclecticness rather of the music and of the group. And talking about genres, we talk a lot with my clients about who they are as a singer and as a performer. And did your writing style change over time, or did you always sort of write in that maybe rocky or pop sort of box?
It's definitely changed over time,
Yeah.
like no doubt. I started off in an alternative band, so it was obviously more rock influenced. Our influences at the time were like Foo Fighters, and I grew up listening to Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana and Marilyn Manson. Like it was like very alternative based, and but over time, I think our musical tastes have, grown and evolved and changed.
Well, they always do
and
evolve, right?
Of course,
You don't always stay stuck in one genre. I was just, talking to our earlier guest about this, who's an actor and a musician, has both of those paths. And one of the questions that I was asking her is same thing, like, how do you know who you are as an artist? And I think you just keep discovering, you know, because writing is a big part of that.
Absolutely. I think for me, if I ever stop, you know, evolving as an artist, I've done something wrong. You know, like we're always going to be on this journey in life, and you know, not even as an artist, but as a human being, you're always going to keep evolving. You're always going to learn new things. You know, I'm very big on you know, you learn something new every day. Well, and I hope I do.
I think you do. And I think what's different that I know about you that is different from a lot of my clients is that you are more into that rocky vibration, where I have a lot of singers that are maybe more ethereal, or they're very, very pop based. You know, there might be more in the, like a Ariana Grande basket, or I don't know a lot of singers your age who actually have stuck to that rock. They start in something and then somehow the industry pulls them into this pop, like what's working, what's playing on Kiss FM, what are the kids all listening to, what are the young girls all listening to. And so what's interesting about you guys is you really stuck to your guns on the music, and you have the most loyal fans.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you know, there are some fans who have been with us since the very beginning, but you know, we're obviously a pop band, but there are, you know, when we go into writing sessions and stuff, the songs that influence us can be anything from Ariana Grande to, you know, like the references that I was, you know, mentioning before. And
you bring
I
like
think
a punkier style to it, though. And maybe it's your style. I mean, maybe it's just your... Yeah, it's your who you are as a singer.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely think there are, like, my roots are in alternative.
Yeah, well, you can see that, you can feel that, but it's nice to know that, you know, you can be successful in this business if you stick to your guns. I think that's a big note for a lot of people, because I know some of my clients that are big writers that write for huge artists. They always say, you know, you have to do something different, stick with it. You know, don't let the masses tell you who you are. Like, that just comes from the inside out. And it feels like you guys have a very unique look.
Thank you.
And a unique sound. And I'm trying to remember now, I think we talked about this in the studio, how we met. So you were going to a voice teacher that sadly passed away, right? And then I forget who referred you.
And then so I went to an ear, nose, and throat doctor.
Oh, I love that the doctors refer. Yes, amazing.
And I went to one of the vocal teachers that he referred me to, and I didn't love her style, and so I was like, who else you got?
Yeah.
And he sent me to you, and I fell in love.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. We're in love. It's great. Yes. My clients never leave. But it's fun listening to different voices and cultivating different voices, because when you started with me, we always talk about, you know, the differences of singing and educating our listeners on what really singing is and the background of that. But you had a lot of muscle in the voice. You were using a lot of muscles in your neck.
Too much oomph.
To get to the notes. And then we have some other singers that are a little bit more classical, and you'll hear more air, you know, in their voices. But it was really about balancing your air and muscle so that you can hit all those notes really flawlessly and do that live.
Yeah. And I think
you have demanding material.
I do.
Very demanding.
Yeah. We definitely have, like, you know, there are a couple songs that are like, okay, you know, I got this, but there's a lot of songs where I really need to just kind of use that mix.
Yeah, and you have to in everything that you do. I think it goes with every genre. So, you know, you joining the band Cherry Bomb and the transition to Hey Violet. So how did that come about, and why change the name? And I don't think I really know that story.
Right. Well, I think it was from Cherry Bomb to Hey Violet, it was less of a transition and more just a completely new band. Okay. Because there was, you know, new music, new name. It was just starting fresh. So
how did Hey Violet, where'd you come up with a name?
You know, we actually had a list of, and this is not an exaggeration, we had about 400 to 500 names on a list.
Wow.
And we had stuff that was like, Hey Velvet, you know, Hey whatever, and Violet, you know, mouth, or Violet whatever. And eventually someone just called out Hey Violet, put those two words together, and we kind of sat on it. It's honestly just like, we liked how it sounded.
Yeah, I mean, and that's okay. Everybody has a different story. You know, it's like one of my bands was in Santa Monica one day and saw a sign. They were in Ocean Park.
Yeah.
and she said there was something happening on the street at the time.
Yeah.
And they ended up with this really cool band name.
That's cool. I love that.
You know, I think we all find names in a different way, but as long as it resonates with you.
For a long time, we were like, what is the name, you know, what does the name mean, and blah, blah, blah. You know, we were like, well, violet is red and blue together.
It's not that deep.
Exactly. I was just like, just sounded cool. Like, who cares, you know?
What were some of the pros and cons about being in a band so young? Because 10, I mean, that's, you know, and I know your family enough to know that they were pretty serious. And if anybody knew, they knew how to navigate you through this industry.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Did you go to school, or did you stay home, or how did you navigate being so young?
I went to school up until, I believe, 8th grade. So the end of middle school, I became homeschooled. And, you know, it became a lot to lug the textbooks around on tour.
Yeah.
So we had to kind of figure out an online schooling option. But I would say some of the pros are that, you know, you get a lot of experience, life experience early. You get a lot of, like, musical knowledge,
right?
Which I love. I thrive on that. And obviously, like, some of the obvious cons are, you know, I feel like a lot of people make lifelong friends in high school,
right?
Maybe you know, maybe college as well,
childhood, right?
Exactly. So, you know, I didn't get to go to prom and like stuff like that. Aww. And you know, part of me is like, I wish I got to do that, and then part of me is like, a lot of people's prom wasn't that good anyway.
I mean, you didn't miss much.
Like,
I went to prom,
exactly.
And I can't tell you all the things that went down, but you know, it's a moment, I guess. It's, I don't know. You're dealing with catastrophes in life at that time,
right?
And you know, I don't know, my boyfriend.
Who's going with who, and like all that stuff.
There's a lot of pressure and stress.
Yeah.
So I ended up going with my best friend, this guy named Luke, because my boyfriend had been a bad boy, and I was very angry with him.
He was in the doghouse.
Yeah, he was in the doghouse.
Sure.
So, you know, prom, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it is nice to have those memories, but really the whole trajectory of your career, you're not missing much.
Right, exactly. So I feel, you know, I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know, I started touring when I was 13 years old.
Wow, that's young.
So, you know, I've seen a lot of the world, and I can't, you know,
you're very well traveled for a young
blessed.
Person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and seeing the world is huge. I mean, you meet people your age and even probably twice your age that have never been out of LA.
Right.
You know, no fault of their own, but there is a difference between being able to travel and seeing how big and how small the world really is. You know what I mean? Exactly. All in one hand, rather than not really understanding what other countries and other cultures are like. There's something really important about that, I think. So
that's something that I find super intriguing is learning about different cultures. Yeah. You know, we went to Japan, and there's just like different mannerisms, different, you know, courtesies and stuff like that I like to indulge in, you know.
It's one of my favorite places on earth.
Learning that stuff is just, oh man, it's just like, it's really something
and
else.
That's nothing, you know, that's a new sort of topic here on Lip Roll. You know, talking about the traveling is so cool, because I've always thought, I said this to a client of mine who's in his 20s recently, and I said, you know, you think of all the places that you've seen, and you haven't even hit 30 yet.
Right.
Think of all the places that you've gone and the cultures that you've experienced. I mean, I'm fairly well traveled for somebody, you know, at my age and my station, but some of my clients that are still, they haven't even hit 25. Mm-hmm. They've seen so many countries, and it's so you have to be in the moment, be present. It's really a cool thing to be able to take that all in. Yeah.
And when I clue into that mentally, I'm like,
where have you been? So now we'll use this as a question. Can you name most of the places you've traveled to?
So I've been to Australia, multiple places there. Japan, like I said, Spain, Italy, France, England.
You've done China? Have you done the China
I have
route?
not.
Oh, okay.
I have not.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Haven't been to China or
Thailand or
not Thailand.
Not yet.
Not Russia. Not New Zealand. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm more naming ones that I haven't been to, because I've been to.
Yeah, there's still a lot more to see, but you've done a lot. You've seen a lot, you know, and I think that's a really that's a huge con.
Right.
So we're going to stay with that, people. We're going to stay with the travel. I may have asked you this before, you know, not on the show, but songwriting. I always like to bring up songwriting because it was very different in my day. You could just sit in a room and people would ask you about your life and you'd come up with a bunch of songs and you'd make this person like super famous.
Right.
You know, I remember living in England, you know, watching the beginning of Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
And she had this like little house on the prairie dress on, and she was very sweet, and they turned her into a rock star.
Right.
I mean, that is when they really cultivated everything from how she walked to how she dressed to her makeup, her hair, everything, her writing. And now you guys are really left to your own devices in many regards,
in
not
many
just
ways,
songwriting, but your image and your marketing and all of that. So do you do all your songwriting, or is it just in the band, or do you pull in other people?
It's both. It's all of the above. I think something, just to touch on one thing that you said, is that, you know, while a lot of it is kind of cultivating our own image and stuff like that, I feel like that gives a lot of freedom to us to be creative, to, you know, get hands-on, which I love. As far as songwriting goes, you know, we have songs that are pitched to us from other songwriters, which is, you know, great.
Right.
And then I also do, and I'm currently doing a lot of songwriting, with, you know, it's a lot of collaborating with other producers, other writers and stuff like that, which I love doing. And then this kind of cycle of songs, it's been pretty much different producers and different songwriters every time, which I love doing that because I get to meet all of these incredible artists and songwriters. And second of all, you know, I think you really find what you like in people, in songwriters, in how the sessions work. But it's a
learning tool, right?
It really is.
It's a learning tool because every songwriter has a different process, you know, and they do things differently, and they think of ideas that you wouldn't have thought of on your own. So I think the collaborations are great. Yeah,
and that's kind of also why we take pitch songs. It's because, you know, you never know when people might hit a stride that you know, that I might not have touched on yet. And I think that's really cool. You know, I'm always open to that. But, you know, there's, you really learn what you like and don't like about, you know, sessions. And I'm the kind of person that, you know, when I go into a session, I really don't have a structure. And that's what I like about my personal songwriting style, is I'm open to pretty much anything.
Right.
And that gives a lot of freedom to go in any direction and see where the song takes us.
Yes, it's just very, very, very different because bands way back, you know, you had bands, you had more bands, and it wasn't, I don't know if it wasn't accepted or they just didn't do it, but they just all wrote, and it was very insular. And now all of my clients seem to be reaching out in different directions, and it's and the music industry is changing so much. So what do you do, Rena, to like chill and relax? Because there's you know, I know your busy schedule, and there's radio and promo and travel and writing and recording and all this stuff that you have to do, and getting ready for new music. What do you do in your downtime?
You know, we've actually had
we've had none.
What is
downtime, Val? I don't know what that is.
What is relaxation? I don't have that in
Meditation.
my vocabulary. No, but like we've actually had you know, while I've been doing sessions and stuff like that, there has been a bit of downtime, especially in the last I would say few months. You know, we just put out a song April 12th, but before that, you know, there was ramp up, and before that there was like a bit of downtime. And, you know, that was due to a lot of the fact that I wasn't doing a lot of self-care. So I kind of just had like a bit of a, whoa, I need a headspace that's a lot more positive than it is right now. So I took some time to myself. You know, we all kind of like took time to create the next era of Hey Violet. So I think, you know,
that's really important, by the way. I think a lot of artists get scared to disappear for a while. Whether it's 3 months or two years or 3 years, whatever it is. And I've seen all of it.
And meanwhile, it used to be normal because, you know, bands would be in the studio recording for as long as they needed to record.
And now it's just like hit them with another song, boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that currency.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, it's very, very different.
It's good and bad, you know?
It is. It's good and bad, like the yin and yang of life. But I really do love that you brought that up, because not enough artists take care of themselves, and people listening that are not on this side of the business don't really realize how exhausting and tiring it is. They see the glamour right? And they don't see what goes on with the artist behind that, is that they're exhausted.
Yeah.
You know, and traveling is not normal to travel all that time, and you're not taking care of yourself,
right?
You know, and so your sleep and your exercise and just having fun, like being balanced and not being this part of this cog, you know, that the label sometimes expects you to be. You're a commodity.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to separate the commodity from the person.
And I think that's something that, you know, even in, you know, all artistry and creativity aside, even in a regular job, it's encouraged that being productive means working yourself to death, or, you know, working yourself to death means you're being productive rather. And I very much disagree with that kind of mentality, because if you're working yourself to death, then how are you ever going to get quality work?
Yeah.
You know, how am I going to go up on stage and give the best performance that I can possibly give?
So nice.
I just gave myself chills.
Yeah. But so nice that you understand that young.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't for a long time. So that's why I really needed to take that time to myself to figure out what I wanted, what I needed.
Right.
You know, I went to the spa like twice in the past 2 weeks, and I needed it. You know, you need those moments where it's you time.
Well, you don't realize whether there's so much coming at you guys now that we didn't have. I mean, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. You know, I went out and I played for 4 hours.
Yeah.
I didn't have a phone, and we didn't have video games.
Right.
We played hopscotch, and we were kids. You know, we went out to the woods, and that was back in a day. We're in a place where at 10 or 9, I could disappear for 3 hours with some friends and my brother, whatever. And it was completely... I can't even imagine my 2 10-year-old boys just letting them go off somewhere for 2 hours.
Right.
I'd be like, no way.
Yeah.
So it's a very different where we live. It's the time that we live in.
Yeah.
It's a very different life now that things have changed. And I think that, you know, especially living in LA, it's a bit of a vacuum. But I love to speak to what you said, is that you don't know that you need it until you do, because so many people your age and even teenagers are so stressed out with all of this pressure and things coming at them.
Right.
It's nice to remember, leave your phones, go for a hike.
Yeah.
You know, be present in the world, because their lives to me are becoming very 2-dimensional instead of 3-dimensional.
I agree.
And I think that 3-dimensional is the hikes and the meditating and having lunch with your friends and not all being on your phone.
Being present, like you said.
Being present, having a massage, self-care.
Yeah.
So that is something that anybody at any age has to be aware of now, is that self-care.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, you know, is really important, is people are living their lives without living it. You know, they're going through life.
They're asleep.
But with not being there.
Yeah,
you know,
not present.
You know, you see people out at dinner, and I've been guilty of this sometimes, but I'm really trying to be aware of it, where you're out to dinner with your family and everyone is on their phone.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, let's enjoy this time and let's enjoy conversation. And we've all been a lot better at that, because, you know, we realize there's only, you know, we're living one life, and you have to make the most of it while you're here.
Well, a lot is
not to get so like
very deep. We're getting very deep here on the roll. No, but it's good. I think it's good to remind people, because, you know, this is what all of these conversations are about, and that's what they are. They're conversations with people who have different ideas and are different ages, and it's so nice to hear somebody younger talking about being present and really being present. I know we talked about this with my last guest as well, and she had brought that up as well. I think you two are very similar in age, and I love that I'm hearing that. You know, I had a conversation with one of my clients who all he does as a musician is travel. I think he travels more than any of my clients, and we got into a very deep conversation about this, and he said to me, you know, we were talking about Instagram, and he says, you know, to him it was going to become something that one day was going to become tacky. And it was very interesting. If you knew the person that said this, that it came out of his mouth, I was like, what? You know, so people who live and die by that. But I thought that was very interesting. You know, he said one day this will just be tacky to have all these posts and these selfies and whatever. Right. It will morph into something else, because that's how life is. Right.
Well, another thing about it is, while it's really beneficial for bands and artists to have them, social media sites and accounts, I think it becomes, like you were saying, everyone tends to see the glamorized side of the music industry without realizing how much work goes into it. And so, you know, you go on Instagram and you see, you know, all of these perfect, you know, these perfect lives, and you don't really get to see like what goes into the work of it, you know? And so I feel
gaps.
like,
we don't see the gaps.
It's a whole nother conversation about, you know, how it affects younger generations and blah, 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 to see all these perfect people. But
that's
it's whole nother thing.
It's definitely not real, but it's something that we have been discussing here on the show quite a bit, because we have a lot of people that are going through this as musicians and artists, and younger people that grew up with Instagram, and you know, it's a culture shock for people that didn't. And it's now, this is sort of taken over.
It has.
And someone had mentioned to me, you know, I remember when I was young, we looked at ourselves twice a day. I don't know if we were on the show when we said this, but once in the morning getting ready for school, and once at night when you're washing your face to go to bed. And that was it. You know, I never looked at myself in the mirror, but now there's just, you're staring at your photos and these images are constantly coming at you. And it's just a different, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I love that you're very aware of that, and it's nice. I think we're going to start a transition here, a positive transition.
Yeah.
So moving on to something a little different, I want to talk to you about like fashions and brands and what your style influences are, because your style is very unique to you.
Yeah.
Like, who are you influenced by?
Well, it's funny you asked that, because I was actually on good old Pinterest the other day, and I was making like a Hey Violet style mood board, and I found that a lot of the people that I would find inspiration from were Rihanna, BB Rexa, Gwen Stefani, and
I mean, all those are good enough.
Right. So I mean, like you know, I just like, I'm really inspired by those people,
just their fashion and their being individual and not conforming.
Exactly. And I think what's really cool is, you know, fashion is kind of coming into this place where you know, I feel like it's a big mishmash of, you know, guys can wear girl clothes and girls can wear guy clothes, and or, you know, you can be feminine and you're girl, like that's what I love about it, is it's this bit of a melting pot when it comes to fashion, and there are like no rules.
And I don't know, it is in fashion, and I don't even know if that's just for more like LA and New York. I'd say other parts of America are like, what's going on over there in Los Angeles? I don't understand it, you know. And nothing to be said, like everybody has their thing, their thing.
Yeah, sure.
And you know, I just remember, what was it? Was it on the Grammys that someone wore? He was an actor, and he was a man, and he had on a skirt.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that?
I did see that.
He had like a suit on the top, and like this huge
Who was that?
skirt. I can't remember who it was, but I just thought, wow, life is changing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but it's cool because, like I said, there are no rules in fashion right now. You know, there are obvious ones,
he was making
but like
a statement.
Exactly.
He was definitely making a statement.
And that's what's cool, is like, what I like about the inspirations that I mentioned is they do their individual thing, and they have their cool thing, and I just kind of...
Yeah, so those are all the artists that inspire you then, music-wise and fashion-wise, you'd say, off the top. So, I mean, Gwen is, you know, she was groundbreaking, you know, in her time. She's so cool, right?
She's awesome.
So what would you do if you weren't a singer or musician? Is there anything else that you love, like your hobbies or interests? Like if this didn't go for you, what would you be doing?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I would probably dive more into painting. Like I took a lot of painting classes when I was like 17, 18, just a few years ago, and I loved it. Like it was a lot of still life.
Still life.
Still life, and like, you know, like the fruit and like stuff like that.
The fruit of the vine.
The fruit and the vases and that kind of stuff. But I really loved that.
It's very relaxing, isn't it?
It is,
it's
but
like gardening.
I'm not sure if it could be like, maybe I don't know. I'm like second guessing myself now, because I'm still like a little kid in that I can't choose what I want.
But you don't have to.
Right. I can do so many things.
You can do so many things.
Yeah.
I mean, and life will afford you to do that.
Yeah.
This is not back in, certain generations where there was this system,
right?
Or you went to, you went to school, or you went to college, or you didn't, or you
right.
got married and got a job, or you got a job and got married,
right.
not in that order. And now there seem to be a lot more choices, if you will, and you can kind of invent yourself in your own way.
Yeah.
So you could still paint and sell your paintings as,
side job
or just a side passion, maybe.
My main job. Okay, so when I was younger, I really wanted to be a professional race car driver.
Oh, see, now we're getting somewhere.
And so maybe I'll pursue that and sell paintings on the side. And
well, I'm sorry. Wait, let's rewind. Okay, that just hit my brain. Okay, so what prompted that?
When I was younger, or just now?
No. I mean, what prompted when you were younger? What was did you watch racing, or?
You know what? I have no idea. I mean, no,
totally random.
I know that now I really like driving fast, but I couldn't drive when I was like, 4, 5, 6 years old or whatever, when I wanted to be a race car.
Need for speed.
Right. So maybe that was just like, I was always in needed that adrenaline rush. Sorry, guys, even when I was little.
A Top Gun reference, if anybody got that. Maybe not. 1985. Here we go back again. But that's so interesting. So you don't really know why.
I think I just always had that need for speed. A crazy lifestyle.
Oh, well, you're in it. Thus,
I'm
your
here.
lifestyle. You have a completely...
Welcome to my life.
Yes, welcome to your world. You have a completely crazy lifestyle. Well, maybe one day we'll take you to Indy 500 and they'll let you drive very slowly around the track. Right. Those things go really fast in real life, right? Yeah. So you talked a little bit about balance in your life, and so and peace. You said you got a massage. Is there any other places in your life where you feel like you feel comfortable and at balance? I mean, imagine painting now is one of them.
I think I tend to be, I feel like as an artist, people are either very outgoing or they're very to themselves.
Right.
And I am very to myself unless I have to be at a place, mingling.
Unless you're on lip roll. And then you have to be on.
But like in my personal life, I tend to chill out in my room. Yeah. I do my own thing. And I feel like that could be a little more balanced, because Casey and Nee are my people, my guitar player and drummer, for those who don't know. And so it's kind of just us three, like, against the world usually, which I love, but, I don't.
It's nice to have that camaraderie.
Yeah, I don't have too many people outside of them, which is good because we're our unit.
And that's okay, by the way.
Exactly. But, I feel like at the same time. The more people that come
in, the more chaos.
Got to keep my circle small,
Got to keep that force field, right there. I mean, this is my
bubble.
This is we're your dance space. This is my dance space. Yes. Oh my God, you guys did it again. Tell me you know the movie.
I know the movie.
Tell me.
Dirty Dancing. Yes, come on.
Finally, phew.
I love that movie. Seriously.
It is. I love that. So, being a musician, again, for people listening, there's so many different experiences. Some people love it. Some people tolerate it. I have some that it's part of the business and they don't love it. They want to be writing and in the studio.
Right.
And some people don't feel themselves unless they're in a bus.
Right.
On tour. So when you're on tour, do you have any do's and don'ts? Like things that, I don't know, are you really regimented? Some people are. Is that where you have more fun, or is that like crackdown time?
It depends on when I have a day off. Because, if I have a day off, I go and I explore the city and I want to do things and see sights and stuff like that. When it's a show day, I kind of crack down.
Dial it down.
I obviously do my vocal warm-ups. Maybe I'll exercise in the morning. I go to bed at a reasonable time.
Yeah, but you know what? A lot of people don't realize how disciplined artists have to be now.
Yeah, especially if you're singing.
You're athletes, right? This is something we keep talking about over and over again. You're not rock stars. I mean, you have your ticket sales come from live shows now.
Exactly.
You're not just selling tons and tons of albums. Everything's downloadable. It's a different game now.
It's also, if people are taking that time to come and see, the band, see all of us perform, I need to be on top of my game.
See, I love that you said that. I mean, it's just to hear that discipline is so refreshing, because you have different artists from all walks of life. And, you know, some artists, they've got a lot of junk to get out of their system, and they need to go out and party and do self-medicate or do a lot of things that they shouldn't be doing. But I love that you said, this is my place to put on a show, and they've paid for those tickets, so I have to give them their money's worth.
Right, exactly.
You know, and I try to instill that into all my singers, and I think a lot of them do start getting it like that, no matter what age they are, and saying, I am an athlete, and I do have a responsibility to my fans.
I think there's a time to party. And there's a time where I need to take this, you know, very seriously, like I do. And you know, even in sessions, I tend to be a very, you know, I can joke, I can laugh, you know, I'm not like stoic, but
yeah, you know when to have fun, you know, but again, that's very, very balanced.
Exactly. Ultimately, you know, this is a professional environment, and I love what I do. You know, it's not like I'm working a 9-to-5 that I don't like, you know. It's an all the time thing that I love, which I'm so happy to say that I'm doing. But at the same time, you know, because I love doing it, I'm going to take it seriously.
I love that. Everybody listening, yes, take that in for a moment. How old are you again?
Right now? 21.
So you're still so young. I mean, gosh, I wish I had that wisdom at 21. I think I thought that I did, but I don't know. It's been so long.
You're a part of my wisdom. I learn from the people around me.
And that's another very wise thing to say, right? It's you learn from, you surround yourself by people that know better than you. And I always tell my clients this, you know, they get advice from their peers. I said, don't get advice from your peers. They're just as lost as you are. Ask one of your contemporaries, or somebody that's been through or had a little more life experience, because they'll tell you and give you advice that's a little bit more seasoned, and they'll also, you know, that they don't really have a dog in the fight, or they're gonna have your highest good. So always know where you're getting your information from. You know,
and I think another thing that's super important that I've learned, like when we had that bit of downtime, is I'm really learning what my values are, what I feel comfortable with, what I don't feel comfortable with. Like I was saying, what I like and don't like about certain sessions, or you know, whatever it is. But that trickles into my daily life. Like I was very much a people pleaser, and now I'm like, I like what I like, and I'm gonna tell you if I don't like something, you know.
Love that.
So like when it comes to you know, what people tell me, if my peers are telling me something, or if, you know, someone that knows more than me is telling me something, if I don't like it, if I don't feel comfortable with it, I'm not going to do it. But I am going to take that constructive criticism that I think will help our career. So
you take the good stuff and you leave the stuff that you don't like. And I think that's a very wise lesson to learn. I don't know that a lot of people learn that lesson until later, but just valuing yourself and not being pressured into doing anything that you don't like. And I think for a lot of younger people, that's a great lesson. Don't be pressured into something that you don't want to do. You know, try to listen to your heart and your mind and your gut and your intuition, and make decisions based on that's coming within and not from the outside.
It's so cheesy to say, but literally the phrase "stay true to yourself" is so true.
But the problem is that some people don't know who themselves are, right? Who they are. And so I think that's the journey for everybody. So your tour, the touring do's and don'ts, like, so hopping off of that. So what are some of the things you have to have on tour? Because I have so many people have these little things that they always have to have with them. And
so definitely my makeup bag, specifically eyeliner, black eyeliner.
Yes, we know we love your black eyeliner.
And then trying to think. Okay, so a don't would be, we cannot go number 2 in the bus usually.
Oh yes, I was.
You know,
I do know that rule. I you forget I've toured with buses. I'm on with 8 boys, and it's me.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
I'm like, I got it. Thanks, tour manager. I'm good. I do know that, but you know, they have to tell you.
I definitely think I always will need cereal on a tour bus, because that's like my go-to breakfast. It's easy. I can, you know, just make it in the morning, and I don't have to, you know, go out of my way for like like scrounging for food.
Yeah, until you get to a later stage in life and you're like, I can't eat cereal.
Right, exactly. I'll get sick of it eventually.
Yeah. So do they stop the bus for you? How does that work? Or it's just,
if you have to go?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we stop.
Rena's got to go.
It also depends on the bus drivers. Some are nicer than others,
The first time I ever did a tour, the tour manager told me this because I think I didn't know. I mean, this is a long time ago. And I thought, my head started going. I'm like, well, what if I'm not the artist? I'm not even in the band. Right. I'm like the voice coach. Are they going to stop the bus for me? I mean, what happens? I mean, sometimes you're on that thing for 9 hours.
Exactly. Look, when a human's got to go, a human's got to go.
Maybe longer. I'm like,
can't
who
fight
do I
it.
ask? Do I ask the bus driver or the tour manager?
Worst case scenario, tell one of the artists, hey, could tell them they need to stop.
Yeah. There's a lot of rules on tour that people don't know about. You know about the
Exactly.
press passes and where you're allowed to go.
Exactly,
And if you have an all access pass, and you can get in trouble, and the tour manager usually will yell at you.
Yeah.
And, if you're not doing something you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I've graduated from that, but where I just don't take crap from anybody,
Right.
And I know enough to know about that culture, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm not supposed to do. But in the beginning, it was a little daunting. I was a younger teacher, and
it's a learning experience, of course, especially when you're starting out, so
it was.
I get it.
It was. And everybody has a different environment on tour. Every band, every singer has a different bus. They have a different environment. They have different things that they need and they don't need in their room. And so you really just have to sort of, wrap into, fold into that life, because it's for people,
mold into it a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's got their own style of touring, I guess, for lack of a better term. But I mean, some people are just
fascinating case study.
Yeah, it is.
On human behavior. Go on a tour, everyone. How do you interact with your fans? How are you with fans? I know that's another thing that every singer is very different.
We are very, very, very interactive with fans. We love talking to them online, and in person we'll do meet and greets where we get to actually meet them, see their face. And what's great about that is we get to know the people.
Do you enjoy meet and greets because you're introverted?
I do,
because I find that I watch my clients, I'm like, that's exhausting.
There are some, we've had ones that went for a couple hours.
That's long.
It's a lot. And then my cheeks start hurting because I'm smiling so much.
And do you, because everybody, I'm working with a client right now, and I asked her, I said, I'm a little worried, just having some vocal trouble about the meet and greets. She said, oh, we don't have to do them. Huh. And I thought, oh, this is a, I'm obviously signed a non-disclosure.
Right.
I can't talk about it.
Well-known.
Right. But it was very interesting, because even at the highest level, I'd actually never heard that before, because it's so much a part of the culture that you meet your fans before.
It's so important now that you're more not just approachable, but more available to the fans. Yeah.
But 2 hours so I don't like that as a voice teacher. I don't like that.
Oh, I would lose my voice.
Too lengthy, because you have to save that energy for the show. Yeah. And then you're so tired of talking. Talking is harder on the voice than singing.
I got very, like I said, I was a people pleaser. So I just did it, and I did it, and I did it. And I was like, you know what? I love the fans, but this is a lot. I'm not going to be able to do a good show. And so what we would do, if it got to be really a lot, like too long, we would do a group photo.
I love that. You find different ways, because I've had to put some clients on total vocal rests, even though they have to go on stage, vocal rest all day, including meet and greets, because it does wear them out, and they're working through an issue or a flu.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would get strep on tour and, still have to do the meet and greets, but, I wouldn't be coughing in people's faces, but
well, that's good. It's like the artists now wearing the things that you get in Asia, right? They always have the face masks over. I don't know how much those protect you, but maybe they make everybody feel
I don't know. Yeah, it must be.
So Rena, I really want to get to this, because we've been talking about this for about a month or so now. You guys have some new music out.
We do.
We're allowed to talk about the new music?
We are allowed to.
Okay, so Better by Myself is out now.
It is, as well as the video for
You have a cool video on YouTube. It's very colorful, very vibrant, very energetic.
Yes.
So for those listeners that don't know, that is out and it's very exciting.
Yeah.
And then you're releasing, when are you guys releasing another one?
We're releasing another one at the end of May.
Okay.
And we're actually I just came from a meeting before this where we were talking about when we're shooting the video for it. So
great.
Very exciting. Yeah. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that, but whatever.
Well, it's okay. I mean, you didn't tell us the song or that wasn't a huge tell. It wasn't a huge giveaway.
Yeah,
so.
but that's going to be really exciting because
we have an exclusive on Lip Roll.
Right.
That's what we want. We want all the dirt first.
We got like the treatment for it, you know, how the music video is going to look and everything.
Fun.
And so I'm so excited. This one's going to be really good.
Yeah, because your fans have been waiting for a while, right?
Yeah.
You've got it'll be worth the wait, you guys. The music's great. We've been working on it in the studio for a while now.
Oh yeah.
So what are your goals for 2019?
I think goals are more self-care.
Yeah, love that.
That's more of a personal goal, but whatever.
Yeah.
I would say, band-wise, I would like to. We're going to take it slow at first, successfully put out these next few songs because we have three more coming out. And we have 5 shows coming up. So I'm just like, I'm hoping all of those go well. Goals are just, I think, connect with the fans as much as possible. We've been gone for a little while. And so, I'd really
we're glad you're back.
Thank you. I am glad to be back.
Yeah, we're glad you're back. And speaking of that, the fans, where can your audience find you?
Oh, okay. So on all the socials, it's at Hey Violet, except for Snapchat, which is hey.violet.
Okay, great.
We don't know who took the Hey Violet name on Snapchat. We're gonna have a big talk
Assholes.
with them. No.
We have a big chat. They're in trouble. They stole our name. Don't you hate that? You're looking, it
happens.
It happens, but you just got to find what else is available.
Right. So we always have to say, but Snapchat's different.
Yeah.
But everything else is Hey Violet, and that's what we're on most. So,
okay. Well, that's where most people find you.
Yeah.
Well, it has been so amazing having you.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you were able to come. Thanks, Rena.
Thank you.